Right, just getting set up here. Wait for a few people to come on. Just gonna get some screens ready here. Happy race day, everyone. Provide some links here in just a second. Share this out to the world. Find it. How's everyone doing? Comments here. Give me a comment. Let me know who your pick is today, how excited you are for the new season. All that fun stuff. Go to live videos. Just want to share this in a couple places and then we will get going. Talking about some NASCAR here. Road course. Unfortunately, wasn't able to watch the races the last 2 days. Been traveling. Took the family up to the city here in a hotel, so I decided to do a live show. It's been a while. So let's share this there. And we will share it here. And one more spot here, and then we'll get going. Talk about some picks, talk about the track, talk about some trends. Got a bunch of stuff to update you on for this upcoming season. So there's 3 places you can get my content if you're looking for my DFS NASCAR cheat sheet, if you're looking for these videos in the future, whether you're looking for some one-on-one coaching. There's a bunch of stuff that I do, and I do it for 3 different places, and we're going to start, and we're going to talk about that first. We'll wait for a few more people to come on now that I've shared it. Twitter, Facebook, Patreon, pretty much everywhere I can think of, I've got that sucker shared. So we are going to flip over, and we will have a look at couple places you can find my comment or find my content. So if I just hit here, we'll go over. You can start at rotopros.com. Me and Dane and Kenny handle the NASCAR content over there. Dane does a weekly article. He usually joins me. He's away this weekend as well. He usually joins me on the live shows. There's going to be more live shows coming this week, or this upcoming week. We're going to have a preview video once a week, Dane and I, and then we're going to have, again, we're going to have this live show on Sundays. Not sure exactly when the full schedule of the live show is going to go yet. I'm waiting for new internet. I ordered the Starlink, Elon Musk stuff there or whatever. So I'm on a beta. I'm just waiting for it to be shipped. I got the email this week. It should be shipped in here within 2 to 3 weeks because my internet at home is just absolutely terrible, and there is absolutely no way. If you remember the final shows of last year, even that I did from home, it was very hard to watch, and I just don't want to have that kind of quality when I'm doing live videos or anything like that. It makes it hard for people to watch, pay attention. So I'm in a hotel here. I get in like 90 speed. I did a speed test before I started. My home speed, just for reference, is usually on average 5 to 8 speed. So that's not very optimal. But with this new Starlink, I'm going to be probably running anywhere between 80 and 150 speed. So it's going to be no problem doing live shows anymore. So yeah, get over to rotopros.com. We cover Right now, we're covering NHL, NBA, EPL soccer. We're covering UFC, PGA, NASCAR. Cover everything. We've got 4 or 5 coaches in there to help you out. One-on-one coach. We got weekly, monthly, and yearly subscriptions for you. That gets you access to our Slack chat, to my cheat sheets, to all the one-on-one coaching, to all access to our coaches 24/7 in there as well. So that's one place you can check out my content. You can also head over to dfsr.com. And as I see here right now, I have not shared the video in there yet, but over on dfsr.com, you can get my content over there as well. If you are a member, you're just going to slide over here to the other sports tab. You're going to click on that and go to Chris's DFS sheets. That's going to take you to a tab over here. Oh, we got the people. Casey, how's it going? Turn the volume up. Let's try this. I was trying it with a mic, but try these. bought some new ones. How's that going? Let me know how that sounds. If that's any better or not. Wait for some feedback before I move forward here. Hey, Ryan. Yeah, Hamlin outright this week. Definitely like that. Let me know if you can hear me better now, Casey. I just adjusted things here. Trying to use the computer mic, but that apparently is not going to work. So I will use these new headphones I bought yesterday, and we'll see how that goes. So I'll just kind of wait here for a few seconds. Sorry for the delay. Much better? Awesome. Thanks, guys. Sorry about that to start. I didn't cover anything important really at the start. Going to be doing live shows a little bit more. That's kind of what I was just kind of going over. I ordered the Starlink internet. Should be getting about 80 to 150 speed here in about 2 to 3 weeks. Right now, I'm in a hotel room. I'm getting about 90 speed, which is great. And I was just saying, in relation to what I get at home, I get about 5 to 8 speed, about 80, 90% of the day. So it's absolutely terrible lately. So I don't want to do live shows with that kind of quality. So good news on that front. And then I was just talking about over at RotoPros, me and Dane are going to be doing a preview video once a week for you, just like we've been doing for the PGA. And then as this gets going a little bit better in terms of my internet, once that gets going, I will definitely be there for you. We're going to be doing probably a Wednesday night live show for PGA. I think is a good idea, especially with some weather and stuff like that. I'm going to try and do more live shows for Showdown, just talking about day-to-day weather, day-to-day statistics, trends, that sort of stuff. So a lot of that coming as well. And then I was mentioning here over at RotoPro or over at DFSR.com, you can get my content over here as well. I'm just going to share this YouTube video here quick, and we'll look at that. So from the homepage, if you go up to other sports and click on Chris's DFS premium sheets, you're going to find all my sheets here. So for $14.95 a month to get access to my sheets, you get access to the chat room, and for $29.95 a month to get access to all of that, plus optimizers for NBA, NFL, MLB, and PGA. Make sure to check that out. And then going further, I also have my Patreon page. That is patreon.com/Jagerbombs. I'm just going to make this a little bit easier to see the information we're looking at. Sorry for not being 100% prepared here, but it's a live show. We'll just do this anyway. We'll make it work. Over at patreon.com/Jagerbombs for $5 a month per sport, or $10 a month for all sports. That's American. $7 per month Canadian. $13.50 for all sports. I cover NHL, college basketball. League of Legends is coming back soon. Working on getting some content up for that. PGA is full rolling. Soccer's fully rolling. UFC, we had that last night. We'll be back next week. College football done for the season. We got NBA. Baseball's coming back very soon. Super pumped for that. NFL coming back next season, then NASCAR. And I cover all 3 series for anyone that's new. Trucks, Xfinity, Cup, Cheat Sheets for all. I've got the DFS Fantasy Matrix. We're going to talk about that here shortly on the sheet. For anyone that's new to the sheet and kind of wants to know how I use that information, how I use my stuff, I'm going to talk about that a little bit here today as well. So yeah, there's the 3 places you can get my content, my cheat sheets. So we will now just kind of jump over here, and we're going to have a look. Yep, there's a sponsor. So there's the homepage. And if you guys got any questions along the way, just put them in the live chat. I will make sure to get to all of them as I go. I don't really have any set rhyme or reason to which way I'm going with this, but I want to go over the sheet first. That's kind of number one here for me, is I just want to make sure that everyone's familiar with the sheet. If you got questions as I go through it, again, just hit me up. So I'm going to slide over to the sheet now. Okay, good. I did set that up right so we can see it. I might... There, just zoom in a little bit so you can see the information a little bit better. You're not going to see the tabs on the bottom, but for anyone that has access to the sheet already, you're going to be able to see that information over there. So you'll know what I'm talking about. If you don't, again, just shout out or hit me up in chat after this if you want to learn a little bit more. Pretty much whatever. So this is the main sheet. These are some of my core plays I got up here right now. There's rankings to the left and the right you're going to see for customers only. If we slide over, we can see the qualifying. The first thing I wanted to explain, I've had a few questions about this already, is what the qualifying inverse is on these rankings here. So we have the qualifying, and if you, on any track where I want to weigh in some place differential upside to that, I will look at qualifying inverse. So if you start first and there's 40 cars in the field, your qualifying inverse is 40th. It's just a way to put weight on starting further back in the field. And the reason I have 20 weight on both of those this week is there is a case to be made. There's a lot of good drivers starting at the back that are good road course drivers. They should be able to work their way to the front and have awesome place differential upside. There's also elite drivers who are starting at the front. Chase Elliott starting first. He should get weight for starting first because on road courses we do see a little bit less correlation from starting position to finishing position. No, I mean, in normal qualifying circumstances, we're going to see most of the good drivers starting towards the front, where I would probably have 0 on qualifying inverse and probably 40% weight on that qualifying starting position, being that that's very important at road courses. It's tough to pass. Also, this isn't your typical road course. This is a lot like, in terms of road course, it's not like your Watkins Glen or Sonoma. It's more like the Charlotte road course where we have that open stretch. This is obviously the super speedway. At Charlotte, we have the portion of the mile and a half track used as well. So that's some nice passing zones there on those exits and entries going into those as well. So it's a little bit different of a typical road course that we look at. So I do have some weight on that qualifying inverse. As you can see here, we've got AJ Allmendinger, good road course racer, starting 34th. Ryan Blaney, 27th. Martin Truex Jr., 19th. Alex Bowman, 36th. Even Ty Dillon down here in 38th makes a lot of sense. He's had some success on road courses. He's on a new car, but Daniel Suarez did good in that 96 car on the road courses, looking at 25th place finishes and stuff. Chris Buescher starting 30th. Eric Jones, 37th. We got a lot of good drivers place differential. So that's why I have that weight there today, if anyone's wondering. And then we have a very small sample size of racing so far this season, and it's only the Daytona 500. So I'm not weighing any form whatsoever. I will look at track type history and then average run. The reason I look at some average run here, it maybe gives some weight to some of those drivers that maybe had a good road course race, maybe 2 or 3 good road course races, ran pretty much top 10, top 15, pretty all 3 of those races, but maybe got in a wreck in 2 of them. That's not going to reflect in their average finish, but in the average run, something like that is. And there's a couple that actually did stand out. I'm going to have to look a little more. Kyle Busch actually comes to recollection quite well, actually. He ranks 19th in terms of average finish since the start of the 2019 season on road courses, but he's 5th in average run position. That tells me one thing, just what I exactly just said. He ran good pretty much all of those races. Not all of them, I don't want to say that, but for the most part, he's running good all those races, but gets in a wreck. Always seems to get in a wreck. And if we go look at, I've got some tabs here in the bottom. I'm just going to quickly go look at the chat. No, we're good there, so I'm going to keep rambling here. If I'm rambling too much, just fire me some questions, and I will definitely help you out there. Okay. Just flipping over a sheet here, answering a question. I got my chat open. Usually Sunday mornings, even doing the live show, I'm working with about 8 to 10 tabs open at once. Just kind of keep things going here. Okay. So on the cheat sheet, we see a couple tabs, and I said you're not going to be able to see them on the bottom here, but the first tab you're going to see is the DK Fantasy Matrix. So this is for DraftKings. I'm going to kind of just go over this a little bit. It looks like I have to zoom out because you're not going to be able to see the names quite. Zoom in. All right, well, you're going to be able to see it once you're in there using it. These are the names over here, and then we've got DraftKings pricing, start in position. If you want to go and throw in, if you make your own copy of the sheet by going to File at the top, create your own copy, you can come in here and edit this sheet, so you can sort columns. A lot of people do that. They'll make a copy and they'll throw in some of their own formulas and stuff like that. I absolutely love that. I created these sheets to kind of make them easier for doing research, and if there's a way that you can do research easier with them, let me know, and I can either add that or do what many others do and just make a copy of the sheet, throw in a new tab, combine some information that you get from somewhere else or some of your own information with my information, and go ahead with that. So you can definitely put in projected laps led. I don't do that until we get to the mile and a half and I start looking at my 2 to 3 dominators, and that's where I'll attribute and put those laps led. For this, I'm not going to do that. I mean, I could see Chase Elliott probably leading 20 to 50 laps somewhere in there. And when you do that, what you're going to see, it's going to change the point totals.
So what this is giving for every driver with their starting position what their DK points would be at the end of the race if they finish first all the way to 40th. So let's just do Martin Truex. If he wins, 65 points. The only thing this formula is not calculating is fast laps. So we've got finishing position in here, we've got place differential calculated in here, and then if you put in projected lap sled, we've got lap sled information in here as well. So there's no fast laps. So just keep that in mind. Not going to matter here for this, but when we get into the mile and a half, I'm trying to figure out a way to calculate fast laps into that. I might even just throw in a column like projected lap sled. I think usually we see about 40%. If so, 40% of what a driver's lap sled are going to be usually sees that in fast laps throughout the race. I'm going to try and find a formula to get that in there, but this is just a really good way to compare drivers, even without that fast lap information calculated in. So you see Martin Truex Jr. starts 21st, wins the race. He would get 65 DK points, plus whatever he get for fast laps. Chase Elliott starting first, 20 laps led. He would only get 50 points for first. So for him to get the same upside as Martin Truex Jr. to win the race, I'm getting up there. Yeah. Okay. Should be able to do this math in my head, but I am not doing it. So as you can see, he needs about 75, 80 laps led to have the same upside winning the race as Martin Truex Jr. So right there, that tells me Martin Truex Jr. is a better DFS play today, unless you think Chase Elliott's going to lead the whole race. I do not. Martin Truex Jr., just for that information alone, is a better play to me because if Elliott leads, let's just say 40 laps, wins the race, that's 55 points. Martin Truex Jr. only needs a fifth place finish to get that same 55 points, and he doesn't have to lead any laps. So that's how I use this matrix to compare players, drivers, athletes. So that's one thing. That's a reason why Chase Elliott may be. I really want to have Chase Elliott in there. He's won 4 straight, and that just kind of dives me in here to these next tabs. This is the Daytona road course history. Again, we've only got one race. I also added the Clash this year, but that's an exhibition race. I'm not putting that into my models here. Da 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 da. So that information, it's a exhibition race. It's a limited field of cars. So, but if you do want to look at it, see what they finished for points, you can definitely check that out here. Something new I have down here at the bottom. It's going to be there for every single race now. I think you can see it. You can't quite see the left. Sorry about that. See if I can just move that over. No, I can't. So what we're looking at is top 10s from starting positions. So we got, this is starting positions 1 to 5. 6 to 10, 11 to 15, 16 to 20, 21 to 25, 25 to 30, 30 to 35, and 36 to 40. So it's just kind of a way to, and then at the top of this, I don't have it here for this race, but it's the correlation from start to finish so we can compare all races. There's some more analysis and videos I'm going to be doing this year is just comparing track types, putting more of that information together in terms of correlations, starting position versus finishing position, and I really want to do that this year because everything changes next year when they go to the next gen car 2022 single lug nut, that sort of stuff. So I really want to take advantage of the information we've had from last year and the year before with that kind of similar rules package that we've had and just get some more correlation numbers and stuff like that just to start analyzing things a little bit more for those that are a little more stat junkies like myself. My only problem is I handle about 10 12 sports, so finding time is usually key for me, but we're kind of wrapping up the NHL, NBA seasons here fairly soon. And then we're going to be a lot more NASCAR oriented content additions coming out to my sheets here soon. And then if we keep going over, the next tab over is road course history. So we've got that information over on the main sheet under track history last 2 years. But if you want to break that down race by race and look at actual results, go to the road course stats 2018 to 2020. Yeah, sorry, I went back to 2018 with this. So over here on the left, you're going to see a number of races, wins, top 5. Same thing you see on the main page. But then if you start scrolling over, you will see the actual race by race. Like we got the Charlotte Road Course race last year, Daytona race, Charlotte Road again in 2019, and then we're back to Watkins Glen and Sonoma 2019, and then Charlotte, Watkins Glen, and Sonoma in 2018 as well. So if you want to break down that information, you can go and do that there as well. I like to look at this for comparing guys I've got it sorted by average finish, so I just like to come and compare how guys have done recently in their last 2-3 road course races. So this is a great tab for doing that research. Before I move on to some of my picks and analysis, I gave you a little bit of analysis, but before I do that, I just want to check Truex, Blaney, or Dinger. Hey, Andre, thanks for watching the show. Really appreciate it. Truex, Blaney, or Dinger is my spend up for DK Cash. Truex is number one in my model. He started 19th, so he gives you that place differential upside. I just talked on the DK fantasy matrix, so Blaney gives you a little more upside for the win because he's got a little bit more. Both do actually, Allmendinger and Blaney give you a little more upside for the win. I personally have Truex as my pick to win. Dane's gonna love that. I hope he's watching. If you're watching, Dane, just throw that in the chat. Let me know you're proud of me for picking your driver. Kyle's probably going to crash again. That seems to be what happens here at road courses for him. But yeah, back to Blaney, Allmendinger, Truex. GPP, I like Blaney and Allmendinger a lot. There's a lot of variance to their, I guess it's like a roller coaster, in terms of their finishes on road courses, where Truex and Elliott, you start looking at that road course history a lot more. That's Daytona. Let's go over to road course history here. Like I said, Elliott's won 4 in a row. That's awesome. But even looking at Truex, 7th, 3rd, 7th, 2nd, 1st, 14th, 2nd, 1st. Like, he's absolutely amazing. He's got 7 top 10s in the last 8 races, 5 top 5s. That's only second to Elliott. And he's got 2 wins, only second to Elliott. So for me, I would go with Truex and Cash. He's just been absolutely consistent and solid elite at these road course races and gives you awesome place differential upside. Like I said with the fantasy matrix again, Elliott leading 40 laps, finishing first is the same as Truex finishing fifth. Or if you want to break it down for GPP, the pivots off of Elliott and GPP, Blaney and Allmendinger love it. They're both cheaper a little bit. And that same scenario, 40 laps led for Elliott is 55 points for first. That is a 9th place finish for Blaney, and that is a 11th place finish for Allmendinger. So I really love those pivots off of Elliott. I really sound like I'm down on Elliott here, but I'm not. He is the best road course racer out there. You'd be crazy to bet against him. His odds are 2.8 to 1 today. But in terms of fantasy scoring, there's just too much place differential that you just can't ignore. If this was a normal race and they actually did single car qualifying and get out there, you would see like Elliott to start at top 10 somewhere in the range of like Elliott, Truex, Blaney, and Allmendinger would be up there. You probably have Hamlin, you probably have Bowman up there. You'd probably have some stacked drivers, the really good road course racers. They'd be the ones that you'd see starting first to 10th. In which case, Elliott would be my top driver 100%. I've talked myself off of that a little bit with the place differential that we're seeing. He is surrounded by 3 elite place differential drivers who are also good, maybe not as good as him on road courses. Tough to say with Allmendinger. That's kind of that's what he does. He's a lot better on other tracks now, but he's always been known as a good road course racer. Blaney's had some success on the road courses as well, but just that place differential is just key. So long story short there, sorry about that, Andre, but I'm going with Martin Truex Jr. and Cash as my payout. DFS wise, last year I didn't really have any decent wins. No, it wasn't that great for me. Small wins here, small losses. I didn't really have the big losses. See, in my 20 max, normally what I'm doing for strategy, if I can get 20 max, I haven't had time. I'm not going to have time today either. But what I want to do in my 20 max strategy is build a core of 3 drivers that I like. So I'll pick maybe 2 in the top tier, and then like if I do that, I'll go down and pick a driver I really like in the punt range. I'm going to run those. So let's just say, for instance, I talked about maybe not Elliott, so we'll go Truex and Allmendinger, and then go down to say I got Ty Dillon highlighted. I really like his price, so I'm going to go those 3 core. I'm going to build 5 to 10 lineups or 5 to 8 lineups around my favorite core 3 drivers. If I go say 1 from the top, Truex, 1 from the middle, Eric Jones, or 2 from the middle, probably even like say Chris Buescher, Eric Jones, and Truex. That 3 driver core I like a little bit better in terms of balance. I'll maybe run that 10 times. So there's going to be weeks where one of those drivers is going to screw you and you're going to, go down to 0, or you're going to, that core is going to hit. And now you've got 10 chances to hit with that 3 driver core. With those 3 other drivers, you have 10 chances to hit with your 3 other drivers, mixing them in and out. And I won't once I do that and build 10 lineups with that 3-driver core, I am not going to go more in those other 10 lineups. I'm not going to go more than like 30-40% on any driver. Um, Maybe if I have a favorite just outside of that 3-driver core, I'll maybe throw him into 5 or 6. But those other ones, normally those other 3 drivers are going to be 30 to 40% each. Yeah, so last year, pretty much what I ended up playing just because of time and doing the live shows and doing so many sports sheets, updating all that kind of stuff. I pretty much ran 3 max, and it wasn't a great season overall. I did have some decent weeks that made up for a lot of the bad ones, but I would say I was probably down overall. I don't play cash games either, just strictly GPP. So this year I'm taking even a more statistical approach, um, and really just kind of I really want to get into that 20 max because that's where I feel my best builds come from. 2 years ago, when I was pretty much 20 max, all 36 races, I guess I missed a few. There's probably 32 to 36 races the year before I ran 20 max, had a really, really good year. It was absolutely tremendous. But when I get down, the problem with doing single lineup in NASCAR or 3 max in NASCAR is there's so much variance in NASCAR. And if you've been watching the last 2 days, I didn't get to watch, but I've seen the highlights and stuff like that. Even Daytona the week before, there's so much variance. So the more lineups you can build, the better. And I get that that's may seem, people are like, oh, well, you can't win unless you build 150 lineups. Well, if you want to build 150 lineups, that doesn't mean you need to spend thousands of dollars to do it. You can go in there's I think on FanDuel they have 5 cent contests, 10 cent contests, 25 cent contests where you can spend 20, 30 bucks and just really start practicing that 150 max build, or even just multiple 20 maxes. Do a 20 max build and then change your 20 max build strategy and do another 20 max. You can at the end of the day get in for 40, 50 lineups under $50 easy and just practice your lineup construction. That's kind of what I'm looking at. Stack the back like last week as a game plan. No, road courses are not super speedways. You're not going to be moving from 34th place to the top 10 within 2 laps like a super speedway. The difference this week, I explained it a little earlier. I'm going to touch on it again here. If this was a normal road course race where they actually qualified and didn't just go off of last week's results and whatever formula they have, we would see all these top guys at the top start in 1, 2, 3, 4, in which case the correlation between starting position and finishing position at a road course is much higher than a super speedway and almost any other course out there, any other track out there. So normally we would be targeting the front of the pack. The only reason I'm looking at place differential this week is because of um, just because of where they qualified. You've got elite place differential plays, elite road course drivers starting at the back. You're going to want to mix. You're definitely going to want to mix today. I don't think it's all, I don't think you want like 5 or all 6 place differential plays, because again, it's tough to crash, or it's not tough to crash. It's easy to crash. It's tough to pass. So it just adds a lot more variance. If you stack all 6 drivers, yeah, there's a ton of upside. Don't get me wrong, because they've all got that place differential upside, but you're also adding a ton of variance in there as well, because the chances that 1 or 2 of them get in a crash trying to move from the front to the back on this road course is very high. So just keep that in mind when you're building. I'm not saying don't stack the back of the pack, because there is a ton of place differential plays that I talked about. But just keep in mind that it also adds a ton of variance. For cash games, I'd try and, I'd probably do maybe 3, mix it up, maybe 3 place differential plays, 2 start in top 10 and 1 kind of in that 10th to 15th range, somewhere in there, something like that. That's probably what my optimal cash game strategy would be. Like I said, I don't play cash games. I like to build cores and then build around them. So my 3 max strategy, just piggybacking off of what my 20 max strategy was, my 3 max is a little bit different. I'll usually go a 4-driver core that feel very strongly about, and then I'm going to build 2 lineups around them. Probably just depending on the week. If there's a 5th driver that's very close, I'll maybe throw him in. But generally, those other 2 spots I'm going to swap in, and then a third one I just usually like to go a little bit contrarian, which would be, if I go Elliott in one of them, Elliott in that third contrarian lineup would be definitely fading in that third one. So I'll just usually try and do something a little bit different than I do with my 2 if I'm doing 3 max. So that's kind of how I change those. Golf for me, yeah. I'm not going to get into golf too much here. I'm going to talk about that in some later videos. I've switched my golf just real quick with golf. My tournament long is what I use for GPP now, and then for cash games, I do showdowns. I definitely like doing showdown cash. I think you can find a lot of edge, especially on weather weeks. Um, okay, so Beastie, Kyle Larson as a pivot. Okay, just give me a second here. He's high in my model. He's starting eighth. Again, there's going to be variance because he hasn't raced. He missed most of last year. He's only got the super speedway race this year. He's on a brand new team. Let's go look at his road course here. So last six road courses. He's got three top tens. We're going back to 2019 for that data. Started 7th, 13th at Charlotte Road, 5th, finished 8th, first 10th. So for me, I'm not on Larson whatsoever. I won't be running him starting 8th. I don't think he's going to stay there. I kind of got him in like a 15th, yeah, 10th to 15th kind of range. And that's, looking at the fantasy matrix here at Larson, 10th to 15th puts him at like 32 to 21 points. And that's just not enough. I'm kind of looking for 5X, generally 5X for my guys. That's 40 points. So we need like a 6. I think that's definitely there. But I want more upside. You can get a ton more upside with the Benedetto, Almirola, Eric Jones, uh, Ryan Newman. Like there's so many drivers around him that I just don't think you need to go that way. It seems very contrarian to go to Larson. With that said, he's going to be low owned. I just don't see a top 5 out of him, and that's really what we're looking for. You're kind of That's 42 points. That's 5X. So get up 6X. You're looking at a second place finish. And I just don't see that. So that's kind of my opinion on Larson. Hey Liz, happy 2021 NASCAR season. Bowman thoughts? Yes, definitely. I've got him highlighted as an early core play here, mainly because he's starting 36th. He's got good odds to win, so he's right up there in terms of Vegas odds of these guys that, like for instance, Kozlowski and Logano are starting, 15 spots or more in front of them, 24 spots, 20 spots, sorry. Um, in front of Bowman and only slightly better odds to win. I really like that. First of all, I love the place differential. He finished 8th here last year, led a couple laps, not really a big deal. He's been consistent. So what I'm looking for is consistent road course guys. First of all, he's finished in the top 20 in each of the last 8 road course races with 4 top 10s and 2 top 5s. Most recently here, 8th, 12th, 2nd, 14th, 14th. So what I like here is that we don't need him to finish top 5. Bowman starting 36. If we look at the fantasy matrix now and just kind of break down Bowman, that 15th I think is kind of like his floor today. That's 50 points. That's 50 DK points. That is over that 5X threshold that we're looking for. I think he's got top 5 upside. That's 70 points. So that's huge. So I really like that upside. He hasn't been great on road courses, as you can see here. He's only got 2 top 5s in 8 races, but he's been consistent with 8 top 20s. And anywhere from like a 12th to 15th place finishes over 5X. I absolutely love it. Bowman is a core play for me today. You're in Daytona. Now it's probably not like minus 30 there either. Although our cold stretch is kind of, I think over, it was minus 40 to minus 50 for about 4 days straight. It's kind of warmed up a little bit here now. Probably shorts weather at about minus 10 right now, but definitely not Daytona weather. So pretty jealous there. Are you going to the race? Are you at the race? I'm not sure if they're allowing fans in for that. If you are, have fun. If not, just enjoy. Oh, 65. Only 65. That's awesome. If you're watching the race today, definitely enjoy. If you're at the race, enjoy it even more. Okay, so a couple more. Just want to go down the list here. William Byron kind of falls into that. I've kind of gone a little bit. I'm going to change him to blue on the GPP. You're going to the race. I'm so jealous right now. It's been almost a year since I was at that Phoenix race, which just turns out I said it at not the race, but when we got home when COVID hit in that last year, I said, you know what? I think we were at the very last NASCAR race where they're going to have a sold out crowd. Um, I'm not exactly sure if it was sold out in Phoenix. It was pretty darn close, but it I can't believe it's already been a year since then. Almost. This is absolutely crazy. So I'm so happy you get to go to a race, watch some NASCAR racing. Anyone that gets to go and watch races this year, take advantage because I don't know when this crap, we'll just call it crap, is going to be over. In no way am I against, the health and stuff like that, but just some of the shutdowns. I miss sports. That's the big thing. I love watching live sports. Moving on, Andre, Ty Dillon, the lowest you would go today. With a lot of these place differential plays in the middle, like I talked about, Alex Bowman won, Eric Jones. I'll just dive in here before I get into Ty Dillon here. Eric Jones starting 37th is kind of in that same conversation as Bowman. I actually like it even better because he's $1,200 cheaper on DraftKings. Uh, yeah, D Steve iRacing. That was quite interesting. $1,000 Jones is $1,000 cheaper than Bowman on FanDuel. He's got that elite place differential upside. He's not as the odds to win aren't exactly there, but he's got 6 top 20s, 5 top 10s, and 3 top 5s in his last 8 road course races. That's pretty darn good compared to the field. Averaging 37.8 DraftKings points. That's in that top 10 out of all these drivers range. There's enough mid-tier plays where unless you're going like Truex and Elliott together, or 2 of these 4 up here, which I think is definitely doable, Ty Dillon's probably as low as I will go. But if you want to go 3 of these 4 guys at the top here today, you're going to need to grab a few more guys. I just don't like the place differential down here. You get to these bottom guys starting inside the top 30. That's like no thanks to me. Look at all their average finishes on road course races. You got 30, 34, 35, 30. So that's one thing that I'm looking at as an early indicator of these value plays is I'll just come look at this average finish on road courses compared to where they're starting. And if you were looking at this kind of information over here, which is terrible, and they're starting inside of that 10, 20 places inside of that, no thanks. So that is what really halts me from going any lower. If you're going at all, I don't mind James Davison here. He's starting right at the back. He's got a 29.5 average finish in 2 road course races. We'll go over here and just kind of look at those. So he started 37th at the Charlotte Road Course, finished 29th. That's decent. Got 26.9 FanDuel, 21 DK points on there. Not bad for his price. And then 38th, he finished 30th with average run of 31st. So he's running about 30th. So that's what we're expecting from Davidson. So let's just go look at the fantasy matrix with him. 30th place finish. Yeah, we're looking at about 21 points, 18 to 21 points, and that's borderline. Like that's under 5x, which is tough. He'd need a wreck of, a bunch of guys in front of him to get that 25th, kind of in that 25th range. So that's kind of why Ty Dillon's really my lowest. And I said I'd mentioned Ty Dillon earlier. What we had, he's in the 96 here, which that was the car that Daniel Suarez was in. And I would put them kind of in the same range of driver talent. I guess it's pretty close, I would say. And Suarez on road courses in that 96 finished 17th, 16th, 17th, 15th in the last 4. We may not see that out of Ty Dillon, but he's been 23rd, 20th, 15th in the 13 car there. So I guess we can kind of put that together and say, okay, I think, personally, I think Ty Dillon's got 20th place to 25th place floor. That's 30 to 41 points at 5,600. We're looking at about 30 points that we need from him. So definitely on board with Ty Dillon. He's my favorite value play. I think you can go Daniel Suarez here too, starting 35th. Alfredo would be like a pivot off those 2, starting 31st. I think he's going to be a little bit lower owned coming out of the Xfinity series, and he is in the 38 car. So I don't mind that as a pivot. But definitely in my core, Ty Dillon's the lowest. I'm going to go there for sure. Yeah, he's risky. At GPP for sure. He needs a lot to go right for him to really hit on that upside. But it feels like he's got the most solid floor of fantasy points out of all the guys below Ty Dillon. I don't mind. Justin Haley is probably one of the most talented guys down here, but he, not great equipment again. Starting 20th, so that really pushes him. He's got the best odds to win in this range, but starting 20th at 18-point difference between Ty Dillon here just makes it, it would have to be a GPP pivot to go down there. So that's kind of the way I'm looking at building today. Like I'm just going to open up DraftKings and just kind of throw a couple drivers in here and just see what we got for averages left over. Got some good contests here today, I see. So we will jump in. So I love Truex. I want to put a core together here of Truex, Bowman, and Jones and just see what that's going to leave us and kind of the direction that we can go from there. So that leaves us 7,400 average. That gives me three elite place differential plays here. 30, sorry, starting 37th, 36th, 19th. All three of them are good on road courses, so it doesn't feel like we're taking a lot of risk there. So I love that. If you were to add Buescher in there, that gives us four place differential plays. That gives us 7,500. So when you start doing that, it's tough to start taking these top 10 starters down here. So that is going to lead you to, a place differential kind of lineup if you go that route. If you take Elliott and Truex, you throw them in your lineup, it still gives you a 7,000 average. So you can go down and take Ty Dillon in that 56 range, or if you wanted to really go stars and scrubs, take two of these three that we talked about. We'll throw in Ty Dillon here and just see that brings us to 7,500 average. Then we can get into Buescher and Jones. But if you want to go a little bit more, let's throw in Suarez. Just kind of see what that looks like. Gives us an 8,500 average. So then you can still go and get Jones and Bowman in there if you want. Puts us up to 92, yeah. So we can get a lineup together: Truex, Elliott, Jones, Bowman, Suarez, and Dillon. So you got Elliott, who get some lap slide out of him and a win. Truex, you get in there as the top five. Jones and Bowman, if they get in there with top tens, and Ty Dillon and Suarez even get up to say 20th to 25th. I think we're looking at a really good, strong lineup there. Probably going to be close to your your optimal lineups and stuff like that. So that's definitely a way you can go. So kind of turning back a little bit on that information, I do like the place differential builds a lot. It feels like there's just a lot more risk there. So like I said, for cash games, I'd probably try and split them 3 and 3 or limit to 4 place differential plays just to kind of limit that risk of coming through the field and getting in a crash. Because there is a good chance that will happen. Okay. Consider taking both Chase and Blaney. Yeah, that's definitely that would be a fade of Truex. Let me just check. Well, not necessarily. You could go superstars and scrubs and go Truex, Elliott, and Blaney. Leaves you with about $5,960. So you can go and get like a Suarez and Dillon, but you're going to have to kind of stay down here in this range. If you go Elliott and Blaney, that's going to leave you 7,200. So then you come down here and you grab a value guy, a couple mid-range guys. You can probably still get up to Bowman or Byron in there as well. So yeah, definitely like that core. Just personally, if I'm probably going to do, I'm really going to try and crunch 20 lineups here before lock. I think lock today is, let me scroll up here, 2:18 my time, so that's 3:18 Eastern. So about 4 hours we got here. So I'm going to try and do this 20 max. And for the most part, I'm probably going to be underweight on Elliott myself. Is kind of the way I'm feeling just talking this out. It feels like he's going to have ownership. Obviously, he's won 4 straight road course races. He's starting first. But I'm going to play the card that, he doesn't lead 40, 50 laps. Maybe only leads 15 to 20 and finishes fifth. So let's go look at that scenario here. Say he leads 25 laps, finishes fifth. That's 41 DK points. He's going to get some fast laps in there as well. So maybe looking at 45 to 50 points. I just don't see that being in the optimal lineup if that happens. I think he needs to dominate, which is tough to say on a road course. Go look at some of these lap sled leaders over the last few road course races. Just going to start sorting here. 27, 34 here last time. So let's just give him that max. I had 40 in there before. And that feels low to what he's going to need to hit the optimal lineup should he not win the race. So that's kind of my thinking. I'm probably going to be underweight on Elliott, overweight on Truex, Allmendinger, and Blaney. I think Truex over Blaney just because of the 6 place differential points there. Because of he's a little bit better, I guess, on road courses, I would say. Maybe not in the short term here, looking at that chart, but overall, that's kind of the way I'm leaning. All right. Getting close to wrapping it up here. Hi, Wade. Yeah, the sheets are up on Patreon. I cover a ton of sports, so it might get filtered down a little bit. I'm going to just give me a couple seconds here and I will throw it in chat for you. I try to pin it every week as well, but I can only pin one thing on Patreon, and I try to pin what I've been trying to do is pin the PGA sheet early in the week, and then once the tournament locks, I like to, but that's tough too because it's the same sheet for Showdown. So definitely, if you're not in Slack chat yet, check out that message, the welcome message that I gave you. If you didn't get it, let me know and I'll send it again. Um, but check that out. I've got a link to the Slack chat in there. And in the Slack chat, it's a lot easier with all the sports that I cover. Every day, I'll take all the sheets that I have out, I will put them in the main chat, and then I'll put them in each individual sport chat and then pin them to that channel. So throughout the week, if I post NASCAR on Wednesday and there's a whole bunch of chat that goes on, it gets lost in the fold. You can just go up to the top of the screen, and I'm actually going to show you that here quickly. This is the Slack chat. So if you come up here, this is on laptop, obviously. You can come up here and click on the pinned, and you can see all the pinned sheets over here for Patreon. So make sure to get into Patreon. There's just a lot going on in there, a lot of information just to really give you more value for the subscription price. I'm just trying to grab that post here for you. I don't know why I'm having trouble finding it. Oh, I know why. I'm only on coffee number 1 today. All right. Yeah, I gotta scroll down quite a bit here to find that sheet. Well, I can't seem to find it at the moment. I will share it with you just shortly here. There we go. Riley Auto Parts, Daytona Road Course. Then everyone will have it here. Okay, there is the link to the Patreon. That will get you into the NASCAR sheet. And then, like I said, in Slack chat, I've got it pinned to the NASCAR Talk channel. So make sure to get in there. I'll be in there leading up to lock, talking some more strategy, just kind of getting things wrapped up here. I got to check out in about a half an hour and headed over for some brunch. But I'll have my phone, I'll have Slack chat open if you guys got questions. And then I'll have skeleton lineups posted about, I'm going to do two cores that I'm using today that I will be using as my, so for my 20 max, I'm going to provide you 2 3-driver cores that I'm going to use. And I will be building, I've kind of decided, I think I'm going to go with 8 of each of those and then 4 kind of contrarian lineups in that 20 max build. And not like super out of the world contrarian, but after I build those first 16 lineups, I'm going to look at percentages of what drivers I've maybe missed out on in that mix, and then I'm going to try and mix those drivers into those last 4, just to kind of make sure I get exposure to those other drivers that are on my list that I was maybe underweight on in my initial 16 builds. So some weeks, 2 years ago when I was building, I would do this. And if there were even more drivers that I wanted to get more exposure to, and I missed that exposure range that I wanted them in, I would just go and enter another 20 max and then just start all over. But I would start with those drivers that I missed out on as core plays first, just to make sure I cover that exposure. And this would be more races. I like the 20 max and the more lineups I said for high variance result races, Daytona, Talladega, any road course, Bristol short track, Martinsville to an extent. For the 1.5-mile tracks, my cores are a lot tighter. My player pools are a lot smaller. So keep that in mind. We're going to talk about that coming up here shortly in the coming weeks here because we're moving on to past the super speedway road course races. All right. Any more questions? Fire them off. I got about 5 more minutes here. I didn't talk about Chris Buescher. What I really like about him, number one, the price 7,200 on DK, 6,000 on FanDuel, 65 to 1 to win. I'm not expecting him to win by any means, but that's some nice odds. Gives you place differential at starting 30th. He finished 20th here last year, and I think we go look at that 20. Right. Buescher. Okay. Buescher. Here we go. Started, 24 DK points, not great, finishing 20s, but he's starting 10 more spots, so that would be about 34 points last year if he was starting 30th there. 5th the year before, 18th, 13th, 16th. He's just been super consistent inside the top 20. The last 8 road course races, he has finished top 20 in all of them. Pretty good, solid average fantasy points, especially on the FanDuel there. And FanDuel at 6K is just, he's going to fit in real nicely here. And then FanDuel builds, you can go a lot more stars and scrubs today on FanDuel because you're looking at Ty Dillon. He's minimum, well, almost minimum price. He's 2,500. You got these guys down here at 2,000. I'm not considering any of them, but Ty Dillon at 2,500 opens everything up to get in 3 of these top guys in there. And Allmendinger's only 12,000. You got Chase Elliott 14. He's 12,000. And look at that place differential difference on FanDuel. There's only a gap of 500 over here on, I mean, finish position's huge. So Elliott, I like a little bit more on FanDuel because the place differential is worth half as much. But Allmendinger, that's just the price gap, only 500 here and 2,000 on FanDuel with a 33 place differential difference starting off. I definitely like Allmendinger builds over on FanDuel here with that price tag. Yes, I will have a few more picks highlighted here for members coming up. Like I said, I'm going to have some more information. I'm going to be in chat answering questions if you got any more questions on top of that. And skeleton lineups about an hour, 30 to 40 minutes before lock. So look for those about 2 o'clock Eastern, 1:30 to 2 o'clock Eastern. I'll have those posted for you. Like I said, I'm going to do 2 on DraftKings. I'm going to have 1 core on FanDuel. FanDuel's just a lot. I don't play a lot of FanDuel anymore. I'm just not liking their NASCAR product. DK is where it's at for me. I also play Prize Picks. Forgot to mention that. They're one of the sponsors here. I am going to, I'll bring that up and have a look. So over here on the sheet, Prize Picks, pretty easy to play. Makes NASCAR really fun on Sunday, especially if you don't have time. So the weeks I don't have time, I load up on this because all you're looking at over on Prize Picks, find NASCAR. Okay, so fantasy score, all you're doing, every driver here, as you see, has a designated fantasy score projection. All you're doing is guessing over or under. You pick 2, 3, 4, or 5 drivers, you pick over or under their fantasy score, and you can go power play, and if you get both right, 3x your money. So I consider that as like my cash games. And then, if I'm picking 3 drivers, I might go flex play, in which case you can get 1 correct. A flex play just means you can get 1 correct and you can still get some money back. Power play means you need to get all of them correct. So like getting all 4 correct pays 10x. So a $20 bet gets you $200 return. So with those fantasy points, it's just the only thing that can give me a second here. Bring up the scoring chart before we go look at the sheet. So you are getting 0.01 points finishing for laps led. So we're not going to get a lot of laps led here. That is not really going to matter whatsoever. So we'll go over here. So first place, 40 points. This is the scoring. So you can come over here if you're picking your Prize Picks plays and want kind of a reference without clicking on the Prize Picks there. This is what we're looking for. So for instance, we've got let's talk about a driver that we like today. Chase Elliott, 38.5. Martin Truex Jr., 37. So Truex Jr. needs to finish 4th or better if you bet the over. And Elliott at 38.5 needs to finish 1st or 2nd for him to hit on that over. That's very tough. I wouldn't be going that route. I'd like the under on him if anything, but that's too risky. Elliott definitely won't be a Prize Picks play for me today. Some ones that I like here. Let's go look at some cheaper guys. Eric Jones, we talked about. He's starting back in the pack a little bit, but he's 26 fantasy point projection here. 26 point projection, 15th. So if he was to finish 15th, it would be like it would just be like a wash. It would void the ticket. So really, if you bet the over, you need a 14th or better with Eric Jones. And I mean, if you want to go break it down further, and we go look at Eric Jones over here, 14th or better for him. These are the last road courses. He's finished 14th or better in 4 of his last 5. That is definitely one of my top Prize Picks plays today. Is the Eric Jones over? I just seem to get sucked into him every week in Prize Picks. They just put his number just so enticing. So that's how you play Prize Picks. I'll definitely be providing a couple of picks over there today. So what I usually do is provide two Prize Picks plays that are my favorite, whether you choose to use those as a power play or whether you choose to add 1, 2, or 3 more drivers and do a flex play or a power play with those. That's up to you, but I give you my 2 favorites. I just give you one here in the video for free. So the other one will be posted over on my Slack chat a little bit later. Okay, So that's pretty much wrapping it up. I'm going to check a few more questions here. No, thank you guys. I really appreciate you watching. Um, Pretty good viewers for giving no, heads up that I was doing a live show. I wasn't sure what the hotel internet was going to be like. It turned out being good. So I'm glad I could do this. There's more coming in the future if possible. If there's enough, interest in it, I might even just drive up to the city next weekend and just go to my parents or something like that and do a live show or something like that. But we'll play that as it comes. But for today, let's go crush some NASCAR and hit me up in chat if you got any questions. Make sure to like and subscribe. Really helps, the YouTube algorithms. It helps me out a lot. Really appreciate all you guys tuning in, commenting, liking, hitting me up in chat with questions, one-on-one coaching, all that sort of stuff. I absolutely love doing this. I wouldn't be doing it without you guys. So thanks again. Make sure to get over to rotopros.com, dfsr.com, and my Patreon, patreon.com/YagerMoms. Thanks, everyone. Good luck out there.